Hello, my name's Ken McCardle. I'm going to read a poem tonight. It's going to be one poem. I'm working on a book. It's going to be a compilation of different, basically fun, happy poems. Non-religious. It's not part of my BibleRhymes series, but good poems nonetheless. And the poem I'm going to read tonight, it's called Unlikely Friends. The polar bear had lived alone for years and years and years. He didn't even have one friend. Each night he swam in tears. Enormous wind-swept snowy plains were all he ever knew. He dreamed of brighter pastures, then he wished his dreams came true. His days would be spent hunting. He'd chase fish in the seas. He'd come back out, hair soaking wet, and dry off in the breeze. He didn't freeze, but he was cold. His insides always frowned. All he ever wanted was a friend to have around. And camping out one empty night, a hermit in the dark, the polar bear was startled by a whimpering seal bark. He didn't see the culprit, the seal in distress, so he went and looked around, and didn't have success. But nonetheless he looked and knew he'd find it soon. Then there he lay, a little seal, defenseless in the moon. The polar bear walked right on up and stood above the seal. Then he put his nose up close, as if to smell a meal. Then he asked the little seal, "Is everything okay? It sounded like you needed help, and help is my forte." The seal lay there cautious, but happy all the same. He looked up at the polar bear and asked him, "What's your name?" The polar bear became confused, sat down and scratched his head. He seemed to be embarrassed, and his cheeks were turning red. He said, "I guess I have no name. I don't know what to say. No one's ever talked to me, not until this day." "What's your name, my seal friend?" The seal told him Joe, and that's short for Giuseppe, in case you didn't know. So a friendship had begun with these unlikely two. Each one seemed a buddy from the other's point of view. "So what is wrong with you?" asked the polar bear. The seal said he had gotten lost, and barked out in despair, "I got scared and turned around, and then I lost my way. I've been nervous, hungry too, and wandering all day. Then the sunset worried me. What was I to do? So I started calling out, and then along came you. That made me nervous too, you hulking polar bear. You're big as any whale I've seen, with claws beyond compare. Yet you don't seem too scary. We could be best friends." The polar bear looked right at Joe and told him, "That depends. Will you help me pick a name? I think that's what friends do." So Joe looked up at his new friend and called him Buckaroo. And ever since the two stayed close. They're pals until the end. Buckaroo the polar bear, and Joe his seal friend. I hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed writing it. And if you want to get more of my poems, you can either go to BibleRhymes.com or pretty soon KenMcCardle.com. Until then.